Welcome back to Share Science, the weekly science brief for June 8th, 2026. I'm Curie.
And I'm Derek.
Did you know that pigeons navigate using magnetic cells in their liver? Not their brain, not their eyes, their liver. And that's just one of the wild stories we're unpacking today.
That's already blowing my mind, but I know we've got even more to cover. Let's dive in.
First up, let's talk about a universal coronavirus vaccine designed entirely by artificial intelligence. This vaccine just passed its first human trial, and the results are groundbreaking. It's safe, well-tolerated, and it generates immune responses against multiple coronaviruses at once.
So, we've had COVID vaccines for years now. What makes this one so different?
The difference is in the scope. Current COVID vaccines target the spike protein of specific SARS-CoV-2 variants. They're effective, but as we've seen, coronaviruses mutate. New variants can partially evade immunity, which is why we've had to update vaccines periodically. This new vaccine, however, targets conserved regions of the virus, parts that don't mutate as easily because they're structurally essential. That means it could potentially protect against not just current variants, but also future coronaviruses that might jump from animals to humans.
In the AI angle, how does that change the game?
Traditional vaccine design is a slow, iterative process. Scientists identify target antigens, test them in the lab, and refine the design over years. AI compressed that timeline dramatically. It analyzed the structural biology of dozens of coronaviruses, identified the conserved regions most likely to generate broad immune responses, and computationally designed antigen candidates. Essentially, it predicted what would work before any lab testing began.
And the human trial validated those predictions. That's a huge leap forward.
It really is. This isn't just about COVID. It's about pandemic preparedness. Imagine having a vaccine ready to go for the next coronavirus outbreak before it even happens. That's the potential here. If you're curious, search AI-designed pan-coronavirus vaccine human trial 2026 to read more. Next up, let's talk about an organ most people don't think about after their teenage years: the thymus. Researchers have discovered that the health of your thymus could be a powerful predictor of how long you live.
The thymus? I vaguely remember that from high school biology, but I couldn't tell you much about it. What does it do?
The thymus is a small gland behind your sternum, and its main job is to train T cells. These are the immune system's precision strike force. They learn to distinguish your body's own cells from foreign invaders and orchestrate immune responses. During childhood, the thymus is large and active, but it starts to shrink in your teenage years and is mostly replaced by fatty tissue by middle age.
So it's been assumed to be irrelevant in adults, but this study says otherwise?
Exactly. Researchers analyzed CT scans from over 40,000 adults and found that even in older adults, the amount of functional thymic tissue remaining was a strong predictor of lifespan, cancer risk, and heart disease. People with more preserved thymic tissue lived longer and had lower rates of these diseases, even after accounting for other risk factors like age, smoking, and BMI.
That's fascinating. So, what determines how much thymic tissue you retain?
That's the big question researchers are now exploring. Chronic stress, certain infections, and genetics all play a role. There's also some evidence that growth hormone and specific peptides can partially regenerate thymic tissue, but this is still an emerging field. What's clear is that the thymus matters far more in adult health than we ever realized. If you want to dive deeper, search Thymus Health, Aging, Cancer, Heart Disease, CT Scan, Mass General 2026. Now, let's get to the story I teased at the start: pigeons navigating with their liver. Scientists have known for decades that homing pigeons can use Earth's magnetic field to find their way home, but we've never fully understood how. This week, researchers published evidence pointing to iron-filled immune cells in the pigeon's liver as the key.
Wait, the liver? I thought the search for the magnetic sense was focused on the eyes or the beak.
It was. Researchers have looked at two main places. The eyes, because birds have a protein called cryptochrome in their retinas that's sensitive to magnetic fields. And the beak, where iron-containing particles have been found in some birds. But this new study found that certain immune cells in the liver, specifically liver macrophages, are packed with iron in a form that makes them sensitive to magnetic fields.
And they proved it by showing that when these cells were depleted, the pigeons couldn't navigate?
Exactly. The birds got lost, while the control group with intact liver macrophages navigated normally. It's a compelling finding, but it raises new questions. How does the liver transmit magnetic information to the nervous system? The liver isn't traditionally associated with sensory processing, so there's likely a neural pathway we haven't discovered yet. If you're curious, search Pigeon Liver Macrophages Magnetic Navigation 2026. On to our fourth story. A breakthrough in solar desalination that could solve one of the biggest challenges in freshwater scarcity: brine disposal. Conventional desalination plants produce enormous amounts of brine, which is highly concentrated salt waste. When it's pumped back into the ocean, it creates hypersaline dead zones where marine life can't survive.
So what does this new system do differently?
Researchers developed laser-textured metal panels that evaporate fresh water while concentrating the salt into dry, crystalline deposits. This eliminates the liquid brine altogether. The process is powered entirely by sunlight, so it's energy efficient, and the salt crystals can even be collected and used in industrial processes.
That's a game changer. No brine, no dead zones, and a potential byproduct that can be sold.
Exactly. It's a brilliant solution to a long-standing problem. If you want to learn more, search Solar Desalination Brine-Free Laser-Textured Panels 2026. Finally, let's talk about fire tornadoes, or more accurately, fire whirls, being used to clean up oil spills. Researchers found that controlled fire whirls can burn oil spills faster and with less pollution than conventional methods.
Fire whirls? That sounds like something out of a disaster movie. How does it work?
A fire whirl is a spinning column of flame. The rotation creates a vortex that draws in oxygen efficiently, leading to more complete combustion. Researchers found that fire whirls could consume up to 95% of the oil in a spill, while cutting soot emissions by 40%.
And they're engineered, not random.
Exactly. The researchers developed methods to deliberately generate and stabilize fire whirls using barriers that channel wind. It's a cleaner, more effective approach to a difficult environmental problem. If you're curious, search Fire Whirl Oil Spill Cleanup Combustion 2026. And that's our show for this week. From AI-designed vaccines to fire tornadoes, science continues to surprise and inspire.
Until next time, stay curious.